guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to sit down and talk about a few books that I really want to get to or finish, because some of these books I've already started. Books that I would really like to finish before the end of this year. Some of these books I've already started, and some of these books I have read books by the same author this year, and it makes me want to read more of their books and before the end of this year. Did that make sense? Yeah. The first book that I have to mention I have already started. I'm about 100 pages into it, and that is Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. The first time I sat down to read this, I read 40 pages in one sitting, and then after that it took me a while to pick it back up again, and then I was like, oh, I'll read 10 pages a day, and I did that for maybe like maybe like a week. So I ended up getting a little bit over page 100, and then I just forgot to pick it back up again. I am really enjoying this. I'm finding it to be incredibly informative, very thought-provoking, a very interesting read, but it's also like it's nonfiction, so it's kind of dry to me. It's not like exciting, you know what I'm saying? So, and this book won the Women's Prize for Nonfiction this year, which was the first year that prize existed. And this book is about our author, Naomi Klein, who is pretty well known for being an author, being a journalist, and she's writing a lot of this during 2020, so during the year 2020, while she is kind of locked in, as people were. And she is she's talking about her doppelganger experience. So she has a big presence online. Her name, again, is Naomi. I'm not sure if you've heard of Naomi Wolf. So she's talking about how people mistake her for Naomi Wolf a lot. Naomi Wolf is someone who in, I think, the 90s she wrote The Beauty Myth. She was pretty big for that book. She was writing a lot about feminism. As the years have gone on, she's gotten very, very right-wing, like extreme, and she's a big conspiracy theorist, and Naomi Klein is neither of those things, but she's finding herself being mistaken for Naomi Wolf all the time online, and it's about our online identities, it's about our, political beliefs, and how if we are the feeling of being misidentified or mistaken for somebody else, which is kind of scary. It's a lot about online culture. Again, a lot about politics, like really modern politics. It's interesting. I'm learning a lot. I think that she's a very intelligent author. She's a very intelligent writer, and I would love to finish this before the end of the year, because I just don't want to go into the next year with books that I'm in the middle of, you know what I mean? The next book that we have that I have already started, I started this maybe a few years ago. Yeah, and I've just been really, really, really slowly picking this up randomly every now and then, which I'm totally cool with, but I think I would just really like to finish this before the end of the year and close it out. And that is Letters from a Stoic by Seneca in this Penguin Classics edition. So this is a collection of letters that he is writing to people, and it is, as the title would suggest, very in the vein of Stoicism, so Stoic philosophy. It's just kind of like his ideas about life, essentially, a manifesto for living. I'm enjoying it. I've highlighted a lot of sections. I've sent a lot of these sections to my partner as I was reading them. I enjoy reading philosophy a lot because you find some things that are like, wow, that is really well put. I think that too. Or you find a lot of things that you're like, I maybe disagree with that, or I wouldn't put it that way. And it really reaffirms a lot of things about yourself. But I guess I'll read to you something that I highlighted on page 41. You ask me to say what you should consider it particularly important to avoid. My answer is this: a mass crowd. It is something to which you cannot entrust yourself, yet without risk. I, at any rate, am ready to confess my own frailty in this respect. I never come back home with quite the same moral character I went out with. Something or other becomes unsettled where I had achieved internal peace. Associating with people in large numbers is actually harmful. There is not one of them that will not make some vice or other attractive to us, or leave us carrying the imprint of it, or bedaubed, all unawares with it. And I've just highlighted a lot of different things. So yeah, I really have been enjoying this so far, and I'd really like to finish it. And then we have 2 books by Toni Morrison. We have The Bluest Eye and Beloved, because I read Sula last month and absolutely adored it. And I would really like to read her 2 most famous works. I'd like to read all of her books. Eventually, of course, but would love to read her 2 most famous works. And this one specifically because it was her debut novel, and then Sula was the second book that she published. I'd like to read her books potentially in publication order. But yeah, we have these 2. And then also because I've read Giovanni's Room a couple of years ago, and I just read The Fire Next Time last month, I would really like to get to If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. And this is something that I did put on my 2024 Classics TBR list too, so I would really like to get to this for that reason as well. And in this book, we follow, from what I understand, 2 young characters, who a male and a female, who are in love. I believe they're living in Harlem in the United States in maybe around the 50s. I'm not quite sure. But our female character, Tish, she's 19, and she's in love with Fonny, who is a sculptor. And he is the father of her child. And the father is accused of a crime that he did not commit. And it's about what happens after that, I believe, which really reminds me a lot of An American Marriage, or the premise of An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, which was such a phenomenal book. But yeah, I would love to read this. James Baldwin is phenomenal. Yeah, this sounds heartbreaking. It's like it's gonna make me cry. So can't wait to get to this. Can't wait to be heartbroken by it. The last 2 books that I have here, the first one being a nonfiction work by Harold Bloom. Harold Bloom was a pretty famous literary critic of, I'd say, like the 20th century, the end of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st century. I believe he's no longer with us, but he has a lot of books. He was very prolific, so he's got a lot of nonfiction works that he has published. A lot of things about Shakespeare, which is interesting. I haven't read anything by him, but this is How to Read and Why. And from what I understand, I think this is supposed to be him just drawing on his experience as a literary critic, and what he's gotten from lots of these great books that he has read, what he finds important about some of these great books that he's read, or books, recommending books, maybe. Bloom addresses the solitary reader, who he urges should read for the purest of all reasons, to discover and augment the self. And I think that I just really want to read it. I actually picked this up fairly recently, but I didn't feature it in any of my recent hauls, because I just got it, I think, after I filmed those. I'm not sure. I've heard of him online a lot. I've seen him online a lot, and I just really want to read it. And I really specifically want to get to it before the end of this year, because I have this dream and this vision of like going back and reading lots of the great works of like classic literature that I've either already read or like want to now read for the first time, and having this kind of in my back pocket or in the back of my mind to help me potentially further appreciate these books, potentially. So that's my dream and my vision, and that's why I would like to read it before the end of this year. Last but not least, we have a book. I keep meaning to pick this up. It's just like a book that I think, it's a book that I want to love so much that I'm so nervous. And I know we all do that. Okay, we all do that, but it's Funny Story by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. I think I could really, really love this. I want to have like the perfect experience reading this, or I don't want it to like, I want to be like in the right reading mood where I can just dedicate so many hours to this book over the course of a couple of days, and I just want to like be like so into reading at the time. And I'm feeling kind of slumpy right now, so I don't know if I can pick this up at this current moment. But I just want to have beautiful experiences sitting on a couch and sitting in my bed, or sitting outside in the sunshine reading this and just being fully immersed in this story of 2 people who meet each other because each of their respective exes leave them for each other. And so now they're like, WTF, what the heckity heck? And they're like living with each other, and then they fall in love inevitably because it's a romance, and that just sounds so dramatic. And I love Emily Henry, so Funny Story. yeah, I just really need to get over myself and pick it up. But those are the books that I would really, really, really like to get to before the end of this year. Please let me know if you have read any of these books and what you think of them. And also please let me know if there are any books that you are burning to get to before the end of this year. Not that I need any more books on my TBR, but I'm just curious. Please share. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.